Hi there. Okay, this is the second video as I take you along for the ride of what it's like to create a plugin from scratch or a piece of software from scratch for any particular industry. In this case, it's the restaurant industry. In the original video, we talked about the research that we put in trying to find other software products that exist in the world to see how they do software, how they link it all together. And so that was the first phase. The second phase, however, is interesting in that I've decided it would be advantageous if we could find a way, let me show you what I'm talking about, to kill, I don't want to use the word two birds, but at least two software packages and maybe a whole lot more software packages at one time. And it has to do with the way products are related to each other. So if I look at a restaurant, okay, let me bring up this image and sketch this out on a whiteboard. You know, we have the parent product, which is we'll call meal number one, and that is steak, potatoes, and vegetable in a roll. Okay, those would be children of this meal one. And then we have variables or variations of this steak. Actually, I should say a T-bone steak or sirloin steak, and nail it down just a little bit further because that's what's typical. And then we have the size of the steak. We have how the steak is cooked. Those would be variations. Also, you could call them attributes, I suppose. And you can't buy a 4-ounce. You can't buy an 8-ounce. You can't even buy a steak. The only thing you can buy is meal number one. And then there are variations and attributes of those variations. And so potatoes, you know, we have an attribute called type, and it could be fried, baked, or mashed. You know, a variable called carrots with attributes of whole, baby, slice, and so on. So you get the theme. But if I take that and apply it to, say, bicycles or cars or computers, I mean, here we have a car, and it has an engine, which would be a variation. You know, it might be a 302 or a 289 or whatever. You know, we're going back a little ways now. I know that my age is coming out when I rattle off those numbers. And then, you know, 4, 6, 8-cylinder electric, seats, leather, cloth, vinyl. You can go deeper than that. If it's cloth, fabric, velour, flannel, denim, you can go then colors, black, blue, and so you can see the theme is the same, even though the products are different. So computer, hard drive, the cache of the hard drive, you know, the type of hard drive, SSD, a conventional. And so the bottom line is you get these crow's feet that branch out, that tie the child items together with the parent. And in each case, we could say that black, blue, and beige in a way are a child of denim, but it doesn't really work exactly that way. But everything has a parent, you know, a lineage, if you will, that can tie these things together. So I'm thinking, you know, I've been researching, and I've gone to look at how does Google and these other companies do what they do? How do they look at products? How do restaurant software packages look at their menu system? So I come over here. This is an article on the new Google schema, which is going to ultimately help SEO. So when these menus are put on the website, we can also create some script that would allow these menus to be visible on Google, and Google will actually display the menu in their search results by tying this kind of a thing into it. So all of this is part of the research and trying to do something right as opposed to just building it. Schema.org. I really wasn't even familiar with schema.org, but schema.org, I'm finding out, is something that all the big guns pay close attention to in determining how fields should be laid out and what fields should be available. And so all this kind of stuff. You can see I've got a model in front of me. This one's for Domino's Pizza, and how a database tends to be set up. And those that are in the database world will understand primary keys and foreign keys and all that kind of stuff. And so this is the part of the process that I'm on right now. So stemming from that, I broke into my first design aspect of it. And what you see right here is a Photoshop screen. And I've created a plugin for now. I'm just naming it EATS, E-A-T-S. And by clicking on that, you get a screen in front of you where, to start with, we're going to add a new menu. Menu name, and then comments that they can put on the top of the menu, comments they can put on the bottom of the menu, menu subsections. Subsections are, let's give an example of that. If we take their existing website, you can see that that would be what would go at the top of a menu, breakfast served all day and so on. But then here are some subsections: breakfast sides, 3-egg omelets, petite breakfast. So these are all subsections, and most restaurants have things like that. So we've got to allow for that on each menu. And if they click on add a subsection, they'll get something like this here, and comments that they might want to put with that subsection. So we're laying it out, but all of this is just in Photoshop. If you see on the right hand side here, I've got a bunch of folders. If I just hide these folders, you'll see these items start disappearing. These are all drawn from scratch, and that's what we want to do, is we want to lay it out in a way that we think that it logically makes sense. And then once we get it the way we want it to, you can see that whole section could be made to be hidden. We tweak. And then when I'm finally done tweaking, I'll move this, I'll start programming this so that the menus actually work and the data can actually be saved to something called a database. Now, once we've got that parent, and I see the menu, in that scheme, those things I showed you earlier, I see the menu as probably this car right here, or this computer. I want to see that as the parent item. And then we have, actually in the case of the food, I'm going to bring that food one up again. We've got meal 1, steak, potatoes. So actually, yeah, it would be in front of meal. So meal would then become a child. And up here somewhere, I would have the menu, and then meal 1, meal 2, meal 3 would simply be spider arms in the same way that this is. And then I want to apply that to products. And so that's the thought process as I bring this together. And sometimes in programming, you really can't know what you don't know. You do your very best job of storyboarding this stuff, but you really don't get to know whether it works or how well it works or whether it has to be adjusted until you start creating. And that's the process that I'm in right now, and I'll keep you posted. We'll see how that goes with the next video. Talk to you soon.